Hey everybody, welcome to Britpop's Reacts. You're with me, BP1 and BP2.
Over it.
Now this is just
very
happened.
strange day. Yeah.
Very strange day in the UK, yeah. So, our leader,
Indeed.
Boris Johnson, has, well, what appears to have resigned
Yeah.
from the leader of the Conservative Party to step down as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Yep.
Obviously, lots been going on over the last couple of years. Yeah, so very interesting. So we're going to watch this because this is his press conference right now, or it's just literally
live.
just happening. So
Yep.
It is clearly now the will of the Parliamentary Conservative Party that there should be a new leader of that party and therefore a new Prime Minister. And I've agreed with Sir Graham Brady, the chairman of our backbench MPs, that the process of choosing that new leader should begin now. And the timetable will be announced next week. And I've today appointed a cabinet to serve, as I will, until a new leader is in place. So I want to say to the millions of people who voted for us in 2019, many of them voting Conservative for the first time, thank you for that incredible mandate, the biggest Conservative majority since 1987, the biggest share of the vote since 1979. And the reason I have fought so hard in the last few days to continue to deliver that mandate in person was not just because I wanted to do so, but because I felt it was my job, my duty, my obligation to you to continue to do what we promised in 2019. And of course, I'm immensely proud of the achievements of this government, from getting Brexit done to settling our relations with the continent for over half a century, reclaiming the power for this country to make its own laws in Parliament, getting us all through the pandemic, delivering the fastest vaccine rollout in Europe.
Okay, well, so my initial reaction on that is, I think we all knew it was coming. I think we sort of felt it was coming, especially over the last few days.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of torn in a way with Boris. He's a very likeable, for me anyway, I found him a very likeable character.
Bit of a buffoon at times.
Yeah, he's a bit of a joker, doesn't always see the seriousness in certain things, and it's ultimately undone him. You know, he's had a tough ride as Prime Minister in the 2.5 years or whatever it is he's been in power. I mean, not many presidents or prime ministers have had to remove their country from a European Union, as well as had to deal with a global pandemic, and ultimately towards the tail end, you know, involvement or to some degree in war and global relations. So it's been quite tough, and I'm not sure I would want to be doing that sort of job, and I don't know why people want to do these sort of jobs, to be perfectly honest, but they do. So part of me is a bit sad that, you know, it hasn't worked out for him, but at the same time, there are far too many things that have gone wrong, decisions that he's made, things that he's been aware of, and there's only so far you can go making mistake after mistake. And I think the recent chief whip appointment of knowing that somebody that had allegations against them, you know, and to continue to let them into a new role or to employ them knowing that those allegations were known, is ultimately what has distanced the rest of his party, I guess, and removed themselves from the situation, and they don't want to be part of it. They don't believe in him anymore. So it was coming, wasn't it? I mean, overnight we've seen like 40 odd people resign. So
it was getting untenable situation. I mean, he had to come out and say something, because it was just getting, you know, there were too many people showing their displeasure by resigning. But the problem was, it became, you know, what we do find in this country is once you're on the wrong side of the press, then it becomes a witch hunt and you're not going to escape. So they'll unearth every little thing. I mean, we had the bits and pieces of, you know, it started off with using, public money to refurb and redecorate the house. The parties that he knew about, that he said he didn't, is, it was that Dominic Raab, is it? Who was the guy that he was public's, the one that got caught going up to his parents in...
Oh, Dominic Cummings.
That's it. And he would cover for him, and it all became a bit too, what's he going to say next? What's he going to cover up now? As soon as you start not believing the stuff that's coming out of his mouth, then all confidence is lost. I mean, I don't envy him trying to, do the Brexit part, trying to do the getting through the vaccine, catching COVID. And then, the fallout from that was he didn't support the NHS when, everybody thought he would. It was just a catastrophe in the end. And then to sort of end like this is wrong.
I think your dog's trying to get rid of Boris as well, for sure.
She agrees.
Absolutely. All right, keep
the fastest exit from lockdown, and in the last few months, leading the West in standing up to Putin's aggression in Ukraine. And let me say now to the people of Ukraine that I know that we in the UK will continue to back your fight for freedom for as long as it takes. And at the same time, in this country, we've been pushing forward a vast program of investment in infrastructure and skills and technology, the biggest in a century, because if I have one insight into human beings, it is that genius and talent and enthusiasm and imagination are evenly distributed throughout the population, but opportunity is not. And that's why we must keep levelling up, keep unleashing the potential of every part of the United Kingdom. And if we can do that in this country, we will be the most prosperous in Europe. And in the last few days, I've tried to persuade my colleagues that it would be eccentric to change governments when we're delivering so much, and when we have such a vast mandate, and when we're actually only a handful of points behind in the polls, even in mid-term after quite a few months of pretty relentless sledging, and when the economic scene is so difficult domestically and internationally. And I regret not to have been successful in those arguments, and of course it's painful not to be able to see through so many ideas and projects myself. But as we've seen at Westminster, the herd instinct is powerful. When the herd moves, it moves. And my friends, in politics, no one is remotely indispensable. No. And our brilliant and Darwinian system will produce another leader.
He knows this because he was part of that herd that really removed Theresa May.
Exactly.
He's been on the other side, and now he knows that there's people in his cabinet, the MPs in his party, and that herd, unfortunately, is now the other way. You've made too many mistakes now.
Yeah.
There's too many. You can't
keep doing the same.
You can't go back. What's happened has happened. What's come out has come out.
Yeah.
And you've got to be, we were discussing it earlier, social media and media in general, press media, you've got to be squeaky clean.
You can't
in this role, I mean, if you went back to someone like Neville Chamberlain or even Winston Churchill, they would be more corrupt than this man that's up here. But because of the press, because of the social media, it didn't exist. And
because of the overall, you couldn't go against those people at the time. Now, of course people speak out. People speak out because once it's out there in the public domain, as he says, the herd immunity, people will jump on and it snowballs very, very quickly. Absolutely. But as you see here, when it all starts falling down, at least in this country, we can remove them. I mean, you saw the mess with, having to impeach Trump to get him to be removed. I mean, we've got now Putin over in Russia running roughshod. At least over here, if it all goes very badly wrong, people will sort of oust the person in charge. They are accountable. So that's one sort of good side, because you can't just keep doing the same stuff over and over again and just
no. And there's, as he's talking right now, it's the you know, he's probably been up all night writing this. He knows full well that too many people left his party. He knows that he's lost his herd and it's time to walk.
With your head,
and it's hands up now. It's high now.
Semi-held high,
He knows that, right, I'm going to finish what I came in to do until October. New person comes in. I tried. I did my best. I cocked up a few times. And that's
quite a few times.
Yeah.
But, you know, and there's all the other stuff we're dealing with. I mean, we're, you know, the cost of living, the fuel crisis, how much are we paying for fuel now? I saw yesterday in one of the TV, you know, the news stations, they're putting security tags on packs of Lurpak now because they're £9 for a kilo of Lurpak. You know, I mean, what's the world coming to when you're stealing Lurpak spreadable? So, you know, democracy is falling apart, and this guy has just, you know, pushed the buttons too many times, got away with too much, and eventually people have just, you know, you can't keep backing the fool in the room, can you? That's the problem.
No, there's only so much, and there's only so much balance to, you know, like you said, the fool in the room. You know, we know how good he is, intellectually, and well, in his delivery of policy, in his delivery of foresight, and all this type of thing. I think he's really good at. But it's the other things where he's just bad decision making. Is really where it's
I'm bad, you know,
backing the wrong people. You know, oversight, not thinking. You know, I think there's so many things that he's made decisions on where he's just not thought about the impact that it makes on certain
his
people.
actions. His actions, he doesn't, he doesn't think the bigger picture, and his advisors haven't been brilliant, as you say, that Dominic Cummings, you know, people like that. But me and this idiot here, we've got no clue in politics or whatever. We're just sort of voicing our own opinions. I think the problem that we both sort of agree on is who's going to take over, because there's nobody very strong out there. But, you know, as I say, we ain't got a clue what we're talking about. We just thought we'd chuck this up.
Let's see what happens.
Happening now.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Equally committed to taking this country forward through tough times, not just helping families to get through it, but changing and improving the way we do things, cutting burdens on businesses and families, and yes, cutting taxes, because that is the way to generate the growth and the income we need to pay for great public services. And to that new leader, I say, whoever he or she may be, I say I will give you as much support as I can. And to you, the British public, I know that there will be many people who are...
A couple of hecklers out there.
I know, booing.
And, perhaps quite a few...
Thing is, it's right on the main road, though, isn't it? You know, people
and
can
I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. But them's the breaks. I want to thank Carrie and our children, all the members of my family who have had to put up with so much for so long. I want to thank the peerless British Civil Service for all the help and support that you have given our police, our emergency services, and of course our fantastic NHS, who at critical moment helped to extend my own period in office, as well as our armed services and our agencies that are so admired around the world, and our indefatigable Conservative Party members and supporters, whose selfless campaigning makes our democracy possible. I want to thank the wonderful staff here at Chequers.
All right, well, there you go. I don't think he's got much more to say, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it's it is what it is, and you know, we're going to have a new Prime Minister. So
memorable moment for us in the country, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see who now sort of starts shuffling themselves forward to take over. That would be interesting to see, because as I say, at the moment I can't think of anybody that stands out really. No. So there you go. Just thought we'd do that as it was happening.
Yeah, chuck it out today. Why not?
There you go.
Thanks for joining us. Britpop Shack's a bit of a random one for you, but that's our take on Mr. Boris Johnson leaving as our Prime Minister. Until tomorrow for another reaction. It's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from him. Hopefully he's still here tomorrow.
Hopefully. I'm not going to resign.